stop scrolling. Because this isn't just about beauty. This is about power. In Black Hollywood, some bodies don't just get admired, they get talked about, debated, and turn into headlines that shape entire careers. From women who flipped attention into influence to icons who turn controversy into control. This is a side of fame they never explain in interviews. If you want to know who really owned the spotlight and what it cost, stay right here. Hit like, subscribe, and comment, because the names we're about to break down change the culture forever. Nicki Minaj, the woman who turned attention into a weapon. Nicki Minaj didn't walk into Black Hollywood quietly. She arrived like a glitch in the system. Before her, curves were admired, sometimes whispered about, sometimes criticized behind closed doors. But when Nicki showed up, her body didn't just get noticed. It became unavoidable. Headlines followed her silhouette. Cameras lingered. Conversations exploded. And almost overnight, her image became one of the most talked about in the culture. But here's the part most people missed. That attention wasn't accidental. It was calculated. Nicki understood something early that the industry rarely admits out loud. Black women's bodies were always going to be discussed, whether they asked for it or not. So instead of running from the label, she grabbed it first. She exaggerated it, colored it pink, turned it theatrical, turned it loud. Then she flipped it into control. Her curves became branding, her look became a moment, and her presence became a statement. But Nicki never let the image stand alone, because the real power move came next. While the world argued about her body, she was flooding the charts with bars, personas, accents, characters. She made every era feel like an event, not because of how she looked, but because of how she performed. The attention stuck because there was always a soundtrack behind it. Numbers followed. Records piled up. History quietly got rewritten. And that's where the tension lived. For some fans, Nicki became freedom personified. A black woman refusing to shrink, refusing to soften, refusing to apologize for being loud, sexual, animated, and dominant in an industry that constantly tells black women to calm down. For others, she represented something more uncomfortable. How fast culture can turn a woman's body into a trend, a meme, a marketing tool. How praise and pressure often were the same face. Nicki didn't create that system, but she learned how to survive it better than almost anyone. She treated attention like fuel instead of fire. She didn't let it burn her. She let it push her forward. Whether people loved the aesthetic or criticized it, they still had to admit one thing. When Nicki Minaj walked into the room belonged to her. And that's why her status lasted. Because in Black Hollywood, being talked about usually means being disposable. Nicki proved it could mean something else. She showed the culture that being discussed isn't the same as being dismissed. If you control the narrative. And long after the debates faded, her blueprint stayed behind. The industry didn't just talk about Nicki Minaj. It learned from her. Cardi B, the woman who hijacked the spotlight. Cardi B didn't wait for the culture to accept her. She kicked the door open and made acceptance irrelevant. Before the red carpets, before the Grammys, before the fashion houses, Cardi was already loud. Online, unfiltered, impossible to ignore. Her voice carried chaos, humor, and honesty in a world obsessed with polish. And when her body entered conversation, it didn't arrive quietly either. It arrived like a headline you couldn't scroll past. People talked about her curves. They dissected her outfits. They argued about her confidence. But Cardi understood something most celebrities learned too late. Attention is either wasted or weaponized. She didn't try to clean up her image. She doubled down on it. She showed up exactly as she was. Bronx accent intact. Personality turned all the way up. Sexuality unapologetic. And instead of shrinking herself to fit the industry, she forced the industry to stretch around her. Every appearance felt like an event. Every camera angle felt intentional. Every moment felt like momentum. But what truly separated Cardi from the noise was what came after the talking. While critics argued about her body, she was building proof. Hits, performances, cultural dominance. When Invasion of Privacy won Best Rap Album at the Grammys, it wasn't a fluke. It was confirmation. Cardi didn't rise because people talked. People talked because she was winning. And still, The spotlight never softened. Every outfit became a debate. Every pose became commentary. Every appearance turned into breaking news. Cardi learned the rules fast. In the internet era, early attention is currency, but only those who control the narrative get to keep it. She didn't wait to be respected. She moved like someone who already was. Humor became her shield. Honesty became her brand. Fearlessness became her signature. For many fans, Cardi represented liberation, a woman owning her body without shame, without filters, without permission. For others, she became a symbol of discomfort, exposing how quickly confidence in a black woman gets labeled as too much. But that tension is exactly where her power lives. Cardi B didn't become unforgettable by being perfect. She became unforgettable by being undeniable. She proved that in modern fame, the real flex isn't silence. It's presence, not approval, but impact. And in a culture that constantly watches, judges, and debates women's bodies, Cardi showed that the loudest voice in a room can still belong to the woman standing at the center of it. She didn't just enter the conversation. She took it over. Megan Thee Stallion. Confidence built like a weapon. Megan Thee Stallion didn't enter Black Hollywood asking to be seen. She stepped in like someone who already owned the stage. From the moment she broke into the mainstream, her presence felt physical. Not just something you watched, but something you felt. Her body moved with power. Her confidence didn't flirt with the camera. It challenged it. And almost immediately, the conversation started. They talked about her curves. They replayed her stage moves. They debated her confidence like it was a disruption. But Megan never let the noise reduce her to one dimension, because behind the headlines was discipline. Behind the viral moments was control. And behind the image was an artist building momentum with intention. Megan fused bold femininity with athletic dominance. Her performances weren't delicate or decorative. They were commanding. She didn't shrink herself to look palatable. She expanded, took up space, moved like a woman who understood her body as strength, not spectacle. And the music backed it up. Her rise wasn't just viral. It was decisive. Awards followed. Grammys followed. When she won Best New Artist, it wasn't just recognition. It was a line drawn in the sand. Megan wasn't a trend. She was a force. But with that power came pressure. In a culture that claims to celebrate body confidence, Megan exposed a contradiction. The same spotlight that praises boldness also demands perfection. Always camera ready. Always unbreakable. Always performing strength. Even when the weight gets heavy, her body became symbolic. Freedom for some, controversy for others. To many fans, Megan represented liberation, a black woman loud about confidence, joy, sexuality, and pride. To critics, she became another reminder of how quickly women get turned into visual products before they're allowed to be human. Megan didn't create that system, but she refused to let it control her. She stood in the middle of it like a fighter, glamorous, outspoken, and grounded. She made it clear that confidence doesn't mean invincibility. It means self-possession, knowing who you are even when the world keeps trying to define you. That's why she stayed talked about, not because of controversy, not because of shock, but because she learned how to direct the spotlight instead of drowning in it. In a culture that always has something to say, Megan Thee Stallion proved that the loudest voice doesn't have to come from a crowd. Sometimes it belongs to the woman on stage, standing tall, unshrunk, and fully in control. Lizzo. Joy as a form of resistance. Lizzo didn't step into Black Hollywood to fit the standard. She stepped on the standard and rewrote it in real time. From the beginning, her body was part of the conversation. It always was. But what shocked people wasn't her size. It was her confidence. The way she showed up smiling, dancing, laughing, unapologetic, like joy itself was armor. Every stage appearance felt defiant. Every red carpet moment felt intentional. Not because she was asking to be seen, but because she refused to hide. Lizzo made something very clear very fast. Glamour isn't about shrinking. It's about presence. But here's what truly separated her from the noise. She didn't build her fame on shock. She built it on talent. Behind the headlines was a musician, a performer, a voice people actually lived with. Her songs weren't just catchy. They became emotional soundtracks. Anthems about confidence, heartbreak, healing, and self-worth that filled cars, clubs, and bedrooms across the world. When Truth Hurts dominated the charts and she swept the Grammys, it wasn't a viral accident. It was proof. Lizzo wasn't being talked about just because of how she looked. She was winning. And that's when the culture got uncomfortable. Because Lizzo became more than a celebrity. She became a mirror. To millions, she represented freedom. The permission to feel beautiful without conditions. To take up space without apology. To be loud, playful, and proud in a world that constantly tells Black women to minimize themselves. But that same visibility attracted relentless judgment. The praise was loud. The criticism was louder. And the cruelty was often harsher than what thinner stars ever face. Lizzo exposed a hard truth the culture doesn't like to admit. Body positivity is celebrated until a Black woman refuses to make it palatable, until confidence stops being quiet, until joy stops asking for approval. She didn't create that contradiction. She lived it publicly, painfully in real time. And instead of hardening, she stayed joyful. That's where her power really lived. Lizzo didn't turn confidence into defense. She turned it into celebration. She made self-love feel playful instead of preachy, loud instead of fragile. And in doing so, she forced the world to confront its own bias. Because when a Black woman refuses to shrink, physically or emotionally, the reaction says more about the audience than it ever does about her. In Black Hollywood, being talked about is nothing new. But Lizzo proved something deeper. Being talked about doesn't mean being controlled. Sometimes it means being unbreakable. Rihanna, when the spotlight became an empire, Rihanna didn't become one of the most talked about women in Black Hollywood by chasing attention. Attention followed her and stayed. From the beginning, people noticed her body, the curves, the confidence, the way she could turn a simple walk into a headline. But what kept Rihanna in the conversation was never just how she looked. It was how she moved through the world, calm, unbothered, untouchable. She carried a presence that didn't ask to be admired. It assumed it. And that quiet dominance changed everything. While the culture obsessed over her image, Rihanna was watching the bigger picture. She understood something most celebrities don't realize until it's too late. Attention fades. Ownership lasts. So instead of letting the spotlight define her, she built something that could outlive it. When Fenty Beauty launched, it didn't just sell makeup. It exposed an industry. Shade ranges that have been ignored for decades suddenly became the standard. Inclusion stopped being a buzzword and started becoming a requirement. And when the numbers came in, they spoke louder than any headline ever could. Rihanna wasn't just admired. She was invested in. Her body was still talked about, but now that conversation was attached to power, to ownership, to a woman who turned visibility into valuation. When Ford confirmed her billionaire status, the narrative shifted. This wasn't just beauty being discussed anymore. This was control. And that's what made Rihanna different. She didn't need to constantly perform for relevance. She could disappear from music for years and still dominate headlines the moment she returned. Red carpet, pregnancy reveal, Super Bowl stage, silence. Every move felt deliberate because it was in a culture that demands constant output from women, especially Black women. Rihanna represented a rare kind of freedom, the ability to step back without losing power, to exist without explaining yourself, to let the world wait. People still talk about her body, but now it represents something else. It represents independence. It represents leverage. It represents a woman who turned desire into a business plan. Rihanna proved that the most talked about isn't just about curves. It's about what those curves come to symbolize. Confidence backed by ownership. Beauty backed by strategy. Visibility backed by value. She didn't become iconic because people talked. People kept talking because she built something that couldn't be ignored. And in Black Hollywood, that kind of power isn't just rare, it's revolutionary. Beyoncé, the throne built inside the spotlight. Beyoncé didn't become the gold standard of Black Hollywood by being the loudest in the room. She became it by being the most consistent. For decades, her body has been part of the cultural conversation. The curves, the strength, the way her silhouette moves with precision instead of excess. But what made Beyoncé untouchable was never the attention itself. It was what stood behind it. Discipline. From the earliest days of Destiny's Child to sold-out stadium tours across the world, Beyoncé trained her body like an instrument. Every movement had intention. Every performance carried authority. Her curves weren't framed as spectacle. They were framed as power in motion. She didn't chase headlines. Headlines chased her. And while others burned bright and faded fast, Beyoncé stayed, era after era, without losing control of the narrative. Because her image was never the whole story. It was the entrance. The receipts came quietly but relentlessly. Certified records. Historic tours. Cultural moments that shifted sound, fashion, and expectation. When the RIA confirmed her as the most certified female artist of all time, it wasn't a victory lap. It was confirmation of longevity. And when she became the most awarded artist in Grammy history, the message was unmistakable. This wasn't admiration. This was dominance. But Beyoncé's real impact went deeper than numbers. She changed what the world celebrated. She made Black femininity expansive, sexy and serious, soft and commanding, elegant and militant all at once. She showed that a woman didn't have to trade respect for sensuality or minimize one part of herself to validate another. Her body was talked about because it symbolized something larger: control, ownership, excellence earned through repetition, restraint, and relentless preparation. In a culture that often treats women's bodies as trends, Beyoncé turned hers into a legacy, not a moment, a standard. She evolved without asking permission. She matured without shrinking. She remained powerful without explaining herself. And that's why her place in this conversation is permanent, because Beyoncé didn't just survive the spotlight. She built a throne inside it. In Black Hollywood, that combination, beauty and authority, desire and respect, is rare. But Beyoncé proved it's possible. And once she did, the blueprint was set, not just for who gets talked about, but for who gets remembered. Serena Williams. When greatness forced the world to look, Serena Williams didn't enter Black Hollywood chasing visibility. Her greatness made invisibility impossible. Long before red carpets and magazine covers, Serena's body was already a headline. Powerful, muscular, unapologetically built for dominance. In a culture conditioned to expect delicacy from women, especially Black women, her physical presence felt disruptive. They didn't know how to categorize her, so they talked about her, not softly, not kindly, and rarely fairly. Her body wasn't just admired. It was scrutinized, compared, policed, treated like something that needed explaining. But what the world kept missing was the truth hiding in plain sight. That body wasn't aesthetic. It was functional. It was a weapon. Every muscle was earned. Every curve carried purpose. Serena's power translated directly into performance. Explosive serves, relentless endurance, and mental toughness that crushed opponents under pressure. 23 Grand Slam singles titles later, the conversation should have ended. It didn't. Because Serena wasn't just winning matches. She was breaking expectations. Even at the peak of her dominance, commentary followed her everywhere. How she looked, how she dressed, how she celebrated, how she spoke. The same culture that praised her victories seemed uncomfortable with the body that delivered them. Serena exposed a truth few want to confront. Black women's bodies are celebrated only when they are quiet. When they dominate, the praise comes with conditions. But Serena never accepted those conditions. She didn't soften herself to feel palatable. She didn't shrink to make others comfortable. She didn't apologize for power. Instead, she stood exactly as she was: fierce, feminine, competitive, emotional, and unapologetically present. And in doing so, she forced sports media, Hollywood, and global culture to face a reality they'd long avoided. Strength can be beautiful. Power can be glamorous. And dominance doesn't cancel femininity. Serena's legacy isn't just about trophies. It's about redefinition. She turned her body into proof. Proof that excellence doesn't have to come in a form people are used to seeing. Proof that a Black woman can be powerful without compromise. That's why she became one of the most talked about women in Black Hollywood. Not because she fit the image, but because she shattered it. Serena Williams didn't become unforgettable by following the script. She rewrote it with her body, her will, and her refusal to be anything less than herself. And once the world learned how to look at her, it could never unsee the truth. Chloe Bailey. Growing up under a microscope, Chloe Bailey didn't just grow up in the spotlight. She transformed inside it, while the world watched closely. For years, she was introduced as part of harmony, soft vocals, polished image, safe, controlled, the kind of talent people admired quietly. But when Chloe stepped into her solo era, she didn't ease into it. She arrived, bold, sensual, and fully aware of her power, and the reaction was instant. Her body became a headline. Her outfits became arguments. Her confidence became controversy, not because she lacked talent, but because she refused to stay small. Chloe's curves weren't new. What changed was her relationship to them. She stopped presenting herself as something to be protected and started moving like something to be experienced. Her performances grew sharper, more physical, more demanding. She sang like a classic R&B vocalist, then wrapped that voice in visuals that felt provocative, modern, and intentionally disruptive. That contrast unsettled people. Some called it empowerment. Others called it too much. And many asked the same question in different ways. Who gave her permission? That question revealed everything. Because Chloe wasn't just pushing boundaries. She was exposing them. She existed in the space where artistic freedom collides with industry expectation, where a black woman's sexuality is celebrated only when it's quiet, controlled, and easy to digest. Chloe refused that version. She performed with intensity, not apology, precision, not fear, and she made it clear that sensuality didn't cancel musicianship. It amplified it. Her body wasn't the product. It was part of the performance, part of the story she was choosing to tell. Still, the internet never rests. Every photo turned into a think piece. Every angle became a debate. Every appearance felt like a test she never signed up for. But Chloe kept showing up because her real power wasn't in being universally loved. It was in being unmistakably present. She refused to be boxed into the sweet one or the talented one. She claimed the full picture: beauty, voice, curve, confidence, and control. And in doing so, she forced the audience to confront its own discomfort with black women who own desire openly, without softening it for approval. Chloe Bailey didn't step into her solo era to be liked quietly. She stepped into it to be felt. In a culture where attention fades fast, her presence feels intentional, not accidental, not naive, but deliberate. She's not asking the world to agree with her choices. She's daring it to look away. And so far, it hasn't. Halle Bailey. Becoming a symbol before becoming yourself. Halle Bailey didn't become one of the most talked about women in black Hollywood by demanding attention. Attention found her, gently at first, then all at once. Her presence felt different from the start. Soft, graceful, almost delicate in a world addicted to shock. While others chase headlines, Halle became one simply by existing in contrast. And when her body entered conversation, it wasn't because she forced it there. It was because the world was already watching too closely. Every photo felt amplified. Every red carpet look became a moment. Every step toward adulthood sparked debate. Not because she was loud, but because she represented something larger than herself. When Halle was cast as Ariel in The Little Mermaid, her visibility shifted overnight. She wasn't just a rising artist anymore. She became a symbol. A test, a projection of hopes, fears, and expectations placed onto a young black woman stepping into an iconic space once denied to people who looked like her. And with that symbolism came scrutiny. Suddenly, her beauty was discussed like a verdict. Her curves analyzed as if they carried meaning beyond her control. The same internet that celebrated her innocence questioned her evolution. Some wanted her frozen in purity. Others demanded bold rebellion. Very few allowed her the space to simply grow. That tension lived in every frame. Halle's fame wasn't built on her body, but her body became part of the conversation anyway. Not a spectacle, but as evidence. Proof that she was changing. Proof that time was moving forward. Proof that the world doesn't know how to handle black women when they are both adored and evolving. And that's where the pressure lives. Because Halle isn't just navigating celebrity. She's navigating visibility without armor. She moves carefully, Not because she lacks confidence, but because she understands the weight of being watched. Her elegance feels intentional. Her restraint feels protective. And in a culture that constantly demands access, that quiet control becomes its own kind of resistance. Halle Bailey's story isn't about owning the spotlight yet. It's about surviving it. She stands at the intersection of youth, talent, beauty, and expectation, learning who she is while the world tries to decide for her. And that process, messy and unresolved, is exactly why she's talked about so intensely. Because people aren't just watching Halle. They're watching who she's becoming. And in Black Hollywood, that kind of visibility can be both a blessing and a burden, especially when the story isn't finished yet. Coi Leray, breaking the standard by refusing it. Coi Leray didn't become one of the most talked about women in Black Hollywood by fitting the mold. She became talked about because she shattered it. In a culture obsessed with celebrating one specific version of curves, Coi walked in with a slimmer frame, sharp edges, and a confidence that felt almost confrontational. Her body didn't match the expectation, and that alone made people uncomfortable. So they talked, they joked, they criticized. They asked why her body looked the way it did, as if it owed them an explanation. But what they were really reacting to wasn't her size. It was her refusal to apologize for it. Coi understood early what many artists struggle to accept. The internet will judge you no matter what you look like. Too curvy, you're doing too much. Too slim, you're missing something. The pressure doesn't disappear, it just changes angles. So instead of chasing approval, she leaned into defiance. Her outfits were bold, her performances high energy, her attitude unapologetic. She moved like someone who knew the game had already been rigged, and decided to play on her own terms anyway. Every photo sparked opinions. Every stage appearance turned into commentary. And rather than shrinking under it, Coi let the noise amplify her visibility. Because in the modern era, being talked about is currency. Coi didn't pretend the debate didn't exist. She weaponized it. She let criticism bounce off her like background noise while she kept showing up louder, brighter, and more confident. Not to prove she belonged, but to prove she didn't need permission. And that's what made her dangerous to the standard. Her body became a mirror, reflecting how entitled people feel to critique Black women's appearances, regardless of shape. Her presence forced an uncomfortable question the culture rarely wants to answer. Why does a Black woman's body need to satisfy anyone but herself? Coi Leray didn't change the conversation by conforming. She changed it by refusing to play along. She proved that being discussed isn't always about meeting expectations. Sometimes it's about breaking them and still walking like you own the room. In Black Hollywood, booty talk usually follows predictable script. Coi tore the script up, and in doing so, she reminded the culture of something it keeps forgetting. Confidence doesn't come in one shape. Power doesn't live in one body type. And visibility doesn't belong only to those who fit the fantasy. Coi Leray stayed talked about because she turned critique into fuel and never once let the spotlight tell her who she was supposed to be. Keke Palmer, power that comes from knowing yourself. Keke Palmer didn't become one of the most talked about women in Black Hollywood by chasing an image. She became talked about because she never let one image define her. Keke grew up in the spotlight, not overnight, not viral, slowly, publicly, in real time. From child star to leading woman, the world watched her evolve and waited for her to either crack or conform. She did neither. As she stepped into adulthood, her body naturally became part of the conversation. The glow-up, the curves, the confidence. But unlike so many others, Keke didn't let that attention trap her. She wore confidence like armor, not fragile, not defensive, but grounded, funny, fearless, unbothered. Her appeal didn't come from mystery. It came from presence. Keke could walk into any room, comedy, drama, hosting, acting, red carpet, and command it without pretending to be untouchable. She didn't shrink herself to be likable. She expanded herself to be real. And that's what made her dangerous to comparison culture. In an era obsessed with ranking bodies, Keke refused to compete. She didn't play into perfection. She didn't perform silence. She spoke. She joked. She told the truth. And in doing so, she reminded people that confidence isn't always quiet. Sometimes it laughs, claps back, and keeps moving. When people talk about her looks, it never felt like the whole story, because Keek's voice always arrived first. Her personality filled the space before her body ever could. Glamorous one moment, goofy the next, sexy without being silent, beautiful without being delicate. That balance made her relatable in a way few stars achieve. Kiki represented a different kind of Black Hollywood femininity, layered, outspoken, emotionally fluent. A woman who could be admired without being placed on a pedestal she didn't ask for. A woman who understood her value without needing the audience to confirm it. That's why she resonated across generations. Older audiences respected the work. Younger audiences loved the energy. And the culture couldn't reduce her to one thing. Keke Palmer's real power isn't in being talked about for how she looks. It's in never letting that be the final scene. In a spotlight that often tries to trap women inside one version of themselves, Keke proved something rare. The most powerful kind of attention is the kind you control, simply by knowing who you are. And that kind of confidence doesn't fade. It multiplies. Taraji P. Henson, beauty that comes with weight. Taraji P. Henson didn't become one of the most talked about women in Black Hollywood by being loud. She became unforgettable by being undeniable. Her confidence doesn't announce itself. It arrives. The kind that fills a room before a word is spoken. The kind that doesn't rush, doesn't flinch, and doesn't need approval to stand tall. When Taraji walks in, attention follows. Not because she demands it, but because she's earned it. Yes, her body has been admired for years. The curves, the elegance, the way she carries herself with ease. But Taraji's presence was never built on shock or spectacle. It was built on consistency, on work, on performances that linger long after the credits roll. She didn't skip steps. She didn't arrive overnight. Taraji built her spotlight brick by brick, roll by roll, delivering characters that felt lived in, layered, and impossible to forget. Sharp-tongued survivors, women fighting systems stacked against them, characters that reflected strength without losing vulnerability. And that's what made her different. When Taraji's body became part of the conversation, it never existed in isolation. It was always paired with presence, with voice, with authority. Her beauty didn't distract from her talent. It amplified it. But Taraji's story isn't just about being admired. It's about being heard. In an industry that often expects women, especially Black women, to smile, stay grateful, and stay quiet, Taraji refused that script. She spoke openly about pay gaps, about unfair treatment, about the exhaustion of carrying excellence without equal respect. And that honesty made people uncomfortable, because Taraji represented a truth the culture struggles with. Glamour doesn't cancel the right to speak up. Femininity doesn't require silence. And success doesn't mean submission. She proved that a woman can be beautiful and outspoken at the same time, and that those two things don't weaken each other. They reinforce each other. That's why her spotlight feels different. Taraji isn't trending. She's established. Her curves may catch the eye, but her substance holds the gaze. Her voice carries weight because it's backed by experience, resilience, and receipts the industry can't ignore. In a culture obsessed with youth and novelty, Taraji stands as proof that grown woman energy is its own kind of power, one that doesn't beg for attention, one that commands respect. She didn't build her legacy by fitting into the conversation. She built it by elevating it. And when Taraji P. Henson is talked about, the conversation doesn't end with how she looks. It ends with who she is and why she matters. Janelle Monáe, when the body became a statement. Janelle Monáe was never meant to fit inside a box. And for a long time, she proved it by refusing to be seen at all. Early in her career, her image was controlled, tailored, almost untouchable. Black and white suits, sharp lines, precision. She presented herself like a classic film star wrapped in futurism. Elegant, distant, and deliberately unreadable. Her body wasn't the focus. Her mind was. And then she changed the rules. Not suddenly, not recklessly, but intentionally. When Janelle stepped into a bolder, more sensual era, the culture reacted like something had been broken. Curves appeared. Skin showed. Confidence moved differently. And once again, people started talking. Not because she revealed more, but because she revealed on her own terms. That distinction mattered. Janelle didn't enter sensuality as spectacle. She entered it as language, as art, as protest. Her body didn't become gossip. It became a message. Every visual felt cinematic. Every performance felt deliberate. Sensuality wasn't there to distract. It was there to confront. She made it clear this wasn't about attention. It was about ownership. What separated Janelle from the typical sex symbol narrative was depth. Her image was never empty. It was tied to music that blended genres, visuals that challenged norms, and stories that questioned who gets to be seen and how. When she embraced her body, it didn't feel like she was chasing desire. It felt like she was reclaiming agency, and that made people uncomfortable because the culture prefers Black women to be predictable, covered or consumed, safe or silent. Janelle refused all of it. She exposed a contradiction by existing in between. Intellectual and sensual, reserved and bold, controlled and liberated. Her body became talked about not as a trend, but as a disruption. She represented a moment when a woman stops being marketable and starts being uncontainable, when expression stops asking permission, when visibility becomes self-defined. Janelle Monáe reminded the world of something simple but radical. A woman's body is not public property. It's a personal choice, a creative tool, a political statement if she decides it is. And that choice belongs to her alone. That's why she stays talked about, not because she fits the fantasy, but because she refuses it. She made sensuality look intelligent, confidence look cinematic, and freedom look intentional. In Black Hollywood, the most powerful kind of attention isn't the loudest. It's the kind you control. And Janelle Monáe doesn't just control the narrative. She rewrites it in her own language. Here's the truth. It was never just about their bodies. It was about who gets to control the story. In Black Hollywood, being talked about can break you or make you powerful. So the real question is this. Is this era finally freedom or just exploitation with better lighting? Drop your answer in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay with us because this conversation isn't over.